This is Anwar Salandi of Anwar's Reflections. Today we're here in Trenton interviewing Senate candidate Daryl Brooks.
Hello.
Welcome, Daryl.
How you doing?
All right, I'm doing good, doing good. All right, so, here we are again, 2012. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from?
As some people may well know, I was born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey. Went to Trenton High School, went on to Mercer County Community College, Philadelphia Biblical University, and also Camden County Technical Institute. But I've been an activist in the city for, I guess, about 25 years now, running and getting involved in politics, activism, fighting against drugs, crime, poverty, education, justice system reform, doing a lot of different things in our communities, not just in the city, but all around the state. So that's some of the things that I've been doing in the city for the last 20 going close to 25 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been participating. This is my, some people say this is my third time running for U.S. Senate. I also ran for Congress in 2002. So I've been an activist, speaking out and doing a lot of different things politically, running campaigns and working with both Tea Party and Occupy movement, Occupy the Hood, and J.
Okay. So you're no stranger to this
Oh, no.
politics or activism sort of thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's been exciting.
Okay. And since you've been doing this for, you said 20 some odd years, I mean, what is the, the motivation, for running for Senate?
Well, sometimes for me, it's when I hear people coming up to me, how are we going to fix this education? How are we going to bring jobs back to our city, to our state? When you go look at Trenton, Camden, Newark, and you see the poverty rate, you see the high dropout rate, you see kids not getting the quality education. You see all these big problems that need to be solved, and people ask me, well, the politicians, what exactly are they doing? Are they fixing the problem, or are they a part of the problem? Well, you look in all the major cities, especially in New Jersey, and they're not fixing the problem, so they must be part of the problem. So I grew up in inner city. I grew up in Dolly Homes.
Okay.
So I seen the poverty in different areas. I didn't live in poverty really. My mother, she had a good job, but I saw poverty, drugs around me, and it's gotten worse. And so that was my whole thing of fighting, being an activist in the cities, and seeing that.
I mean, could you? Is there like a story or an instance where you saw a case of injustice and you say, well, you had to speak out, and that was like a defining moment, or it wasn't really like that?
I think it was just growing up in that environment.
Right, just growing
up in an environment, you see a lot of injustices.
Mm.
You grow up watching it, and that was my main thing. It's growing up in the inner city area. You see all your friends going to jail. You see the police corruption. You see politicians coming into your cities lying to you, mainly Democrats, because that was the Democratic areas. I grew up in Trenton. So you see all the lies and the hypocrites. You see the dropping out. You see the less quality of education in our schools. And so you start to think, wow, is this happening in Trenton? It's happening in Camden. It's happening in Newark, Jersey City, Patterson. So, that was one of the things that I really looked at, and people, came to me because it was a big thing for me, for standing up. And I remember we talked about protesting at Rutgers Camden. With the students there, the College of New Jersey, Rider College, involved in a lot of different politics, activism in my area. So it's been exciting. Yeah, it's been definitely exciting, and it's, the community need freedom fighters.
All right, so Daryl, in 2012, what's the focus of your campaign platform?
A lot of it deals with, for me, is education, criminal justice system reform, immigration issues. That's it's most important for me and with a lot of families. when you look all about New Jersey, people care, these younger generation care about getting the quality education. When you talk to parents, parents, want their kid to have the best education. That's why I believe in school choice. We should, a kid should go to the right schools, and parents should have a choice what type of school he or she goes to. But one of the other things is that we have to do something with the public school system. My thing is, and I talk about character education, but a friend of mine, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, he talks about nonviolence education, where these kids are in elementary school, junior high school, and high school, and they're taught nonviolence. That's the whole Kenyan Martin Luther King talked about. Dr. Bernard Lafayette was Martin Luther King's aide in the 60s. He goes all around the world, teaching nonviolence education. Now, this type of nonviolent education and character education should be taught in the schools. When kids go to school, what do you see? They come home, they're upset because they've been fighting, hollering, cursing, using all types of language. The kids are not focusing. So we're now going to schools where you have 40 to 50, even 60% dropout rates in certain parts of New Jersey. And that's all about, with the character education, the nonviolence education, how they think about themselves and others. We have to change. The public school system has to change. The unions, the teachers' unions have to change. We're not living in the 60s and 70s and 80s where we didn't have a lot of the social problems that we have now. Plus, we're also living in a computer age, a tech age, where kids are all on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all these different internet organizations and groups, and they're learning different.
Yeah.
So they have so many distractions that they're having, so we have to change. And the problem is that our public schools haven't changed. This is why you see the failure. It's a big failure because if you look at all, not just in the inner cities, but all in the suburbs too.
Now, to those individuals that might say that that the public education school system has enough on their plate already, they don't really have in terms of teaching the basics of math and science and things of that sort. Will they really have enough time to incorporate character education and nonviolence education?
I say yes, because look what's happening now. You're getting more violent. Kids are being more violent, dropping out of high school. You're failing. Even to the fact that you got to look at if the kid has character education or nonviolence education, make it mandatory for him. That kid can focus. See, the idea is that you go into class and you can focus on education. You're not focusing on a student may get in a fight. You're not hear all the hollering, hear the cursing.
Right.
You're all the social distractions that they have, and it makes them a better student. So the idea is to get these kids certified and able to learn at a quality. So if you have a kid that has a strong character, he's going to say, well, I can become a scientist. I can become a lawyer. I can become a politician. I can become an engineer. So, character education changed the whole kid's thinking, mindset. And it's all about changing your mindset. So if a kid doesn't have character education and the kid's not thinking about, I can be this, I can do that. If I don't do this, if I go to school and focus and not worrying about the negative things, I can focus on the positive things, I can do all things. And so this is what we need in our school system. The old way is not working. But we still are teaching these kids the old way, and you see it, like I said, it's not working. 50% dropout, 40% dropout, that's not acceptable. And you don't hear Menendez talking about it, you don't hear Carrillo's talking about it. Senators can play a major role, but they're not talking about these things. And it bothers me that the people keep accepting, as I use the word, the foolish political rhetoric. They're not talking about what's really affecting our community. Kids can't get jobs if they don't have a good education. Plain and simple as that.
But now, playing devil's advocate, what about those people that would say that, parents should be teaching their kids, character education, teaching them to be a living, upstanding, life where they have integrity, not the schools?
Well, schools are doing it already. If you look at the Girard University, boarding schools are teaching these kids a character education. They're teaching these kids this. If you go to the military schools, they're teaching their kids character education. So if boarding schools are doing it and the military schools are doing it, why can't the public schools do it? That's important.
Daryl, you know, after researching your campaign, I found that in the past you've spoken about the issue of immigration. And you've said that it's important that there be no amnesty granted to individuals that come to this country illegally. Along with this, you've also said that by removing employment and entitlement incentives, it will encourage illegal immigrants to return to their home countries.
Yes.
So from traveling around the state and speaking to different voters, I mean, what most concerns them and what most concerns you about the issue of immigration?
Well, you know, the idea is illegal and legal. Illegal is wrong. Legal is right. And you have citizens all around the world wants to come to America legally. They're doing it the right way. Like every other citizen has came over here from other countries. Now, if you have individuals jumping over the gate, you know, they're committing crimes, they're here, it's wrong. You know, once again, illegal is illegal. If I have a warrant for my arrest, if you have a warrant for arrest, you're illegal. You're going to get arrested. I'm going to get arrested. But you have individuals here who are coming over to our country. We don't know what country they're coming from, and most likely coming from the Mexico area. But the idea is that it is wrong, and they're taking jobs from our families. They're taking jobs. Individuals want to work, take care of their family. But if you have corporations and businesses hiring illegals making $5, $6, $7 an hour, you know, then, you know, who's going to want to hire American citizen for $9 to $10 an hour that can take care of his family? You know, I believe that there's a lady named Adrienne Knobloch, and Adrienne Knobloch, and she always said, "Jobs for Americans, Americans first," and that's still how it should be. Americans have to be first. We have illegal immigrants that come over here, and they take jobs. They're doing more illegal crimes than ever before. It's a serious problem. And we have over 15 million illegal immigrants. I mean, can you imagine if we cut that in half? And one thing about Obama, you know, he's doing a great job. He has deported more illegal immigrants than any president in the history of America. But that still is a problem. You know, if you look at New Jersey has one of the highest illegal immigrants that are in New Jersey. Illegal immigrants that come in New Jersey. So there's a serious problem here. And, you know, I don't believe in amnesty. You know, if you get caught in America, you should go back and come in the right way. That's all we're asking. I mean, that's why I'm a part of the Tea Party. Because, you know, the Tea Party believes that if you're legal and if you want to come in here the right way, then you should come in the right way. If you're illegal and you get caught, you have to go back to your country. If I walk over to Canada, I'm illegal and they're going to send me back to America. Now, what is the problem with Americans sending illegal immigrants back to their country? They're now doing it all over the country, all over the world, in Europe. They're sending the illegal immigrants back to their country because they know now that it's the tax they pay, you know, the taxes, the hospitals are closing now, the overwhelming of schools, the welfare, they're taking over the welfare. I mean, it's a whole big issue, and it's our tax dollars that are going to pay for it. Yours, mine, your families, our families. So it's a big, serious issue, and that something has to be done. You know, one of the things is that, you know, as an American, you know, we believe in this country. We're patriotic. You have illegal immigrants that come here, don't believe in the Constitution. You know, they want to come take America back.
But I mean, just to interject, I mean, as far as, you know, like the Dream Act, Obama's Dream Act, and other initiatives that are coming out, allowing people to have pathways to citizenship, but
That's a Band-Aid over the problem. I mean, we need serious politicians, senators and congresspeople, and a serious president to deal with this, and we haven't dealt with it. It's serious.
But should the children of people who came here legally suffer? I mean, is that really the American way?
The thing is that they're not legal citizens. They're still illegal. You know, we're the only country that does it. If you have your child over here, that child becomes an American citizen. We're the only country that does that in the world. If my wife or girlfriend, we go to China, right? If we go to China, and my wife or girlfriend has that child over in China, that child is not a China citizen. That child is an American citizen. And then we have in our cities sanctuary cities where they protect. Any individuals or legal immigrant can drive a car, no license, no ID, no insurance, and they've been killing people all over the country because of the sanctuary cities like Trenton, Newark, Jersey City, Camden. These are sanctuary cities. These cities that, okay, illegal immigrants, come to our country, come to our cities, and you will be safe. Something's wrong with that.
I mean, would you support, a federal ID that was talked about a few years ago, about, to bring undocumented people out of the shadows and have an ID that everybody would have to have? Would you support something like that?
Once again, my thing is that I support panels. What have you been doing in America? And if you haven't been, how can I say, a productive citizen, then, you have to go back to your country. And if you wanted to join the military, that's what they're doing now, join the military and fighting for our government, then, I may not have a problem with that. But the idea is still is the fact that illegal, if you're coming over here and taking jobs and committing crimes, and the fact is, if these companies, they hire you, they should get fined too for every illegal immigrant that's coming to their company and working. We have a big problem. Once again, what does illegal mean? Illegal. If I'm illegal, I go to jail. If you're illegal, you go to jail. The cops stop you, Anwar and Daryl go to jail. Cops stop them, they're not going to jail. And that's where you hear people are talking, especially African Americans. And it's not being talked about, African Americans, especially African American men. And white, but men in general who are working class areas or some individuals that are are struggling. That's what they're talking about, that, and the political climate, the politicians are talking about that. Menendez is not talking about it. He supports the DREAM Act. He supports sanctuary cities. He's not going to talk about it. But the thing is that we have to get up and rise up and take our country back. And this is about the right thing to do. Because illegal is illegal.
We said enforce the laws.
Enforce the law. We don't need any we don't need any new laws on the books. We have to enforce the law and focus on jobs, on Americans. If the legal immigrants come to this country, they can't get jobs, they will go back to their country. Plain and simple as that. They're over here because they need the jobs. Instead of hiring our own citizens that, in a failing economy, we're hiring illegal immigrants and they're working and we're suffering. We need to wake up. People have to wake up.
You've linked up with the Tea Party. You
Yes.
mentioned that earlier. Now, how did that affiliation begin?
I've told the story of the Tea Party. Some members came to my house and we had a meeting 2 or 3 times. We had over coffee and cookies. And, they impressed me about some of the things that they were concerned about. Mm-hmm. And I was concerned about the same thing too. And so it was an easy thing because I ran for Senate in 2008 and hooked up with some libertarians and with the Libertarian Party and some other individuals that dealt with the Tea Party. And so I saw a movement and I really was impressed with that movement. The Tea Party is a strong movement. It's a patriotic movement. They care about this country. The Tea Party, as we care about this country, because I am a Tea Party. We care about this country. We want good quality government. We're fiscal conservative individuals. We're tired of the spending, the waste. We want school choice. And it's about America. And this is what we need to understand, especially more African Americans need to understand that the Tea Party cares about the same issues that we care about. But we're working with politicians, especially Democratic politicians, that have turned their back on the Constitution. They have turned their back on the educational system. And so when I talk to my Tea Party friends, I got guys like Mark Falzine, Josiana, the Gonzaleses, George Hathaway, Lou Jasikoff, other individuals, Adrian Knobloch, all these individuals at Tea Party, we talk all the time. And, you know, and they're very concerned. I got to mention Robert Gordon too. But, you know, they're concerned. They're concerned about the education, especially in the inner city areas. It's about school choice. And you have to understand this. We're living in one of the craziest times in the politics of America. And the Tea Party wants good quality government, strong government. You know, there's not racism in the Tea Party. I mean, that's one of the things, oh, the Tea Party racist. You know, right. How they're racist.
Right.
You know, and you have the liberal press, oh, the Tea Party, they hate Obama. You know, he's black. They hate, you know, and I go to Tea Party events. And, you know, one of the things is I went to a Tea Party office, I remember when I first started, there was a, we don't like Nancy Pelosi. Now Nancy Pelosi is white. You know, so, you know, it's not a racist organization, a racist party. But you have individuals who don't understand politics in this city, in this state, in this country. So they want to label individuals like the Tea Party as a racist government. We want to start a war. You know, we hate Obama because Obama is black. I mean, that's foolishness.
Have you, being that you're an African American, have you caught any flack from the black community since you support the Tea Party?
Oh yeah, all the time. But I understand that's because of ignorance, because you don't know what the Tea Party stands for. You know, if I've caught flack, you know, from a lot of so-called African American leadership, then, and some people in the community, then shouldn't you cause flack with the ones that have brought policies, have failed these young, poor African American and Hispanic kids? These are democratic policies. If you, like I've been talking to people, telling them, look at Jersey City, look at Trenton, look at Camden, look at Newark. These are democratic controlled cities, and they have brought nothing but failure and wasteland to these young kids and to the people. More failure of education, failure of jobs, crime, violence, prisons. You know, this is of the Democratic Party. This is the failure of a Democratic Party. So some individuals have nerve to tell me, oh, you shouldn't be a Tea Party. Well, should I be a Democrat and be a part of a 50-year failure program that the Democrats have basically failed the poor people, failed African Americans, failed poor whites and Hispanics in these areas? I mean, I'm asked the question, you know, you go, well, who should I be? What should I be? I guess I should be a nice little Democrat and yes, we can, and change we can believe in. I'm still waiting for that change we can believe in. And what does yes we can, and what does it mean for me to be African American and a Democrat in a city like Trenton, when you see the corruption, when you see the failures, you see the lies, you see the crime and violence, prisons, you know, there's corruption. So, you know, why should I be a Democrat? Just because my mama was a Democrat, grandma was a Democrat?
And then would you say, you know, that people are also dissatisfied with the Republican Party as well?
Well, yeah, definitely Republican Party.
Along with the Democratic Party?
Yeah, well, you know, you got to understand this. You got people that are in the Tea Party that are Democrats, Republicans, and independents. But you got to understand this. The Republican Party, you know, my problem with them is that they're afraid to go into these areas. You know, and when it comes down to it, the Democrat and the Republican are almost somewhat basically the same.
And that's why I've read somewhere that you're saying that new voices are needed given this climate where the Republicans and the Democrats are failing urban centers like Trenton and other places.
Yeah, and I tell a lot of people, you know, if you have to, if you don't like the Democratic Party, then be an independent. Or go into the Republican Party and bring new fresh voice, new fresh ideas. And you can be in the city coming up in the Democratic Party and bring new ideas too. But there's an idea of the system that say, listen, keep Trenton down, keep Camden down, keep Newark down, keep the dropout rate high, keep the kids coming in the lockup. You know, it's not the Tea Party that's a part of this. It's mainly, like I said, Democratic and also Republican policies. You know, we want good and fair government. You know, I support Ron Paul, freedom and liberty. You know, the Campaign for Liberty group. So, you know, it's about change. It's about real government that is not going to lie to the people. And like I said, people should be afraid of government the way it's headed. We should be afraid of what these people are doing right now in the State House, in New Jersey, and in the government, in the federal government, what they're doing. You know, I talked to you a few nights ago about Sweeney. You know, you worried about a football game. You want to pass laws.
Referring to Steve Sweeney, right?
Yeah, Steve Sweeney.
Okay,
he talked about on television about laws. You know, so he wanted to pass a law about there should be no replacement refs in New Jersey for the NFL. I mean, where is this at? Where are you coming from? There are so more important issues that are affecting New Jerseyans, and you're worried about what? Replacement refs? You want to pass another law? This is how the Democrats are, especially in New Jersey. You know, Sweeney, Menendez, Bonnie Watson Coleman, Lautenberg. I mean, they're all the same. They're all the same.
And they're not really focusing on the serious issues.
They don't care about this what's really happening to the people in the state of New Jersey. I mean, this is why you see Governor Christie's kicking their behind. You know?
So it's time for a new brand of leadership?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have, definitely. You know, you have individuals, you know, they don't have the testicle fortitude, and the men and the women don't have, some of these Democratic women, they don't have the heart.
Testicle fortitude? What was that again?
They don't have it. They're weak. You know, Menendez, Frank Lautenberg is weak. These guys are weak. They don't have the heart. They don't have the heart to challenge the people and to bring new ideas.
Mm.
And I'm a Tea Party, so I can say the wildest thing, right? We're crazy people, you know, but we believe in the good government and strong Constitution. You know, the Constitution is first. You know, stop trying to disconnect America from the Constitution. You know, and this is what these progressive, liberal politicians are doing. You know, throw the Constitution out, let's make another law. Let's just come with something different. And this is what's happening right here in New Jersey and around the country.
So Daryl, you mentioned earlier that you've been, involved in the community for a long time. And you're from this area. So one, must ask, as a Trenton resident and an activist,
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the community leaders?
Weak. I've been around here in the city for the past, I guess activist for the past 25 years. I'm now 44 growing up, and it's been the weakest I've ever seen. No new ideas, no fresh ideas. And like I've been talking about in the city, you have these political parties, then you have the community leaders, the so-called the religious leaders and the other community activists that you might see on Facebook, you may have a rally, and all they have to offer is sports and having a good time, dancing, cookouts. And the people have to question these type of people. Are these really our leaders? How many churches we have in the city of Trenton? And why can't they? Lots of churches.
Yeah.
Why can't they come out? We have Darius Daniels. We have Reverend Harris. We have Reverend Armstrong. We have a abundance of great pastors as you listen to the churches. Church people. They could preach a word like no other. But, why is it still more violence and crime on our streets? Why they have to play a role. And then you look at the other individuals, our community activists, Freedom Green, you know what I mean? And you have, the other ones, NAACP president, then you have, other ones, they're all about having a good time.
And in the past, you've also mentioned coined a phrase, Facebook activists.
Yeah, Facebook activists. They all on Facebook, and I've heard them, they're just laughing and making great quotes, and people are saying, oh yeah, you're right about that. But that's not exactly putting the effort in the community. I challenge these guys and females to focus on what's really needed in our communities is a great education. Real social programs. Like we're talking about having Dr. Bernard Lafayette that can come in and talk about nonviolence education. Why there's always a march? And marches are good. But if you don't have anything to bring to the people, that's a problem. We've been doing this for the past, 20 years in the city of Trenton? You're not helping, you're part of the failure of the city. You're not helping at all. And so, one of the things, like I said, they always want to have a dance. They always want to have a basketball game, a tournament. One of the things that disappointed me is that they had the African Pride Fest.
Right,
at Calvert Park.
Right.
Right. Now this is the event, is just the second one. And this is the priority of these groups that are having this African Pride Fest. They had something at the event down East State Street where they had the bullying program. And the young lady, I can't think of her name, she developed something. She wanted people to come talk about the bullying problem that we have in our schools. Then they had all the 80s or the 70s party. Then they had the party outside at Calvert Park. They had all these things at this one community center. And when it came down to that night of the bullying program, they only had 5 people. I was there. I was one of them. 5 people show up. Okay? So if these people and the ones who are behind this program, the African Pride Fest, if they were so willing to do all these different things, and they come out to these events, and they have all these things, but they only bring 5 individuals. I know the lady she was hurt. I looked into her eyes. But we come out in the city of Trenton to 70s, 80s night. We have a big event here where all you did was dance and sing. We had about, I don't know, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people show up. You didn't want to talk about nothing about education. You didn't want to talk about nothing about jobs. You don't want to talk about nothing about health care. And what was told for me from Freedom Green is that we don't need to talk about that. They ain't ready for that. This is how they think the leadership, community activists believe.
Now, the flip side of that, some people might say that there's a place for a celebration and having a good time. What's wrong with that?
When you celebrate all the time, when has we have had a conference on education, a conference on jobs, a conference on healthcare, a conference on violence, a conference on 21st century type education? When are we going to have these type things? Everybody wants to do a party. Everybody wants to do what? Have a basketball game. And these are the young people, these are the younger generation, younger than me, who are doing these different things. And they can criticize me all they want, but the idea is, listen, you're the next ones coming up. And all your education, your political skills, your savviness, and all you can come up with is a party, a dance, and a basketball game. Something's wrong with that picture. We have a serious problem with black leadership. Problem with black leadership in our city. And even also the churches. We got like 5 or 6 Darius Daniels. We got the Jenkins brothers. We got Armstrong. We got Galilee, Reverend Harris. We have a abundance of great preachers in the name of Jesus. But when it comes out, when it comes out to having, bringing the church outside every day, sacrificing. See, that's the thing about sacrificing. Sacrificing your time, your commitment to your bowling game, your basketball game, your partying at Friday, Saturday nights, having a shake in your butts, having a good time. Oh, you're not sacrificing.
So they should be putting just as much energy
into cleaning up their community.
Right.
And they got all the members of the church, and they got all their Facebook friends, and they can come out and cry about the crime and the violence, but when it comes to making a sacrifice to really doing something, they're not. And it bothers me. And it should bother the people that be listening to this. Young kids are dying in the city of Trenton. Young kids are dropping out in the city of Trenton, going to jail in the city of Trenton. Why we haven't put a movement together in the city of Trenton to challenge this prison industrial complex in the city and the county. In the state, even with the Rowan Towers. People came out for the Rowan Towers because they said the girl got raped. And it was a lie. It was a lie. The people was led by a lie. They had Russell Simmons here. Everybody came out, had a good time celebration. But you celebrated, you came out and had a good time for a lie. I mean, and this is how we think as a people in the city of Trenton. And it's terrible. And it's not just Trenton, it's Camden, the same thing. Newark is the same thing. I mean, it's terrible of leadership. We got these young so-called African-American Democrats that are supposed to be, they look good in suits. I didn't want to put a suit on, but, people said, put a jacket and tie on,
Right.
But you got guys dressed in nice suits, man. They came from great families. But what have they ever really produced and talked about? You're not, and the people, they're not challenging these community leaders. They're not challenging these politicians. They're not challenging the preachers. Politicians, West Trenton, Zachary Chester. Ask him, what do you think about jobs? Ask Zachary Chester. Call Menendez, email Menendez, write him a letter. How can we fix jobs in this country, Menendez? How can we deal with the immigration problem? Ask Zachary Chester. Ask some of the council, city council, the freeholders. Ask these questions and see what kind of answer they give you. So there's a serious problem that's taking place. And, if we don't change the leadership in our city, from religious, political, to community leadership, it's never going to stop. And that's what I love about the Tea Party. I got to mention the Tea Party. Dick Lugar wanted to stay in Washington. The Tea Party said, okay, you got to go. So they left. They got rid of him. The Tea Party's been getting rid of politicians that said they're for the people and for the Constitution. But we are getting rid of them. We're fighting. We're challenging. We're taking over. So, take a lesson from the Tea Party. We have to take a lesson from the Tea Party. My friends that will fight for me and I will fight for them because they have shown me loyalty. Their loyalty has been to me and my loyalty is to them. It's been foolishness the way I see the things that are happening on with the city, with Tony Mack, with the city council, with the politicians. And they're all a part of the same family. Listen, they're all a part of the same family. First and second cousins. They're all political family together. So if Tony had an issue, he learned it from Doug. And Doug was all a part of the Watsons. And then you got the rest of them who are part of sitting on city council. People like Zachary Chester's part of the Watsons. And, his wife, I mean, it's all of them apart. Even the community leaders, Duncan Harris, all of them. I mean, they all part of the family. It's terrible. So these are the ones you like and dress up in nice suits and look good and, they're all nice and fuzzy-duzzy. But ask them about education. Ask people on city council about jobs, education. How are we going to fix education? I'll take it out to the school board. That's what they will tell you. Ask Menendez. Send Menendez a letter, an email, and task him, we have a serious problem on immigration, on education, on jobs. What exactly have you done to help bring jobs, fix the education? Nothing. Fix immigration. He will tell you nothing. We got the Dream Act. And they're all a part of a democratic political system that is failure, complete failure. We're $15 trillion in debt. Who's going to pay for that? You talk about that. Who's going to pay for that? Our children. But hey, keep on Facebook. Keep on YouTube. Keep on doing the, the nice, sweet things and texting each other and having fun and partying while the world is changing and we're $15 trillion of debt. We're maybe going into another war. Who's behind the scenes? What's going on in Libya? All these different things are happening around the world. And we're partying and playing basketball, having a good time, while others are plotting against our families and our children.
It's time for change.
It's time for a change. And the people are willing to change. They'll hear this and say, oh, what the heck? I don't know. But we need to take a look at ourselves and how we think of our leadership and the ones that are speaking out against the leadership. One of my political heroes was Ronald Reagan. He talked about morning in America. There's a brighter day. There is a brighter day. But all we have to do is understand our history as a people, as a government, as American citizens. We can prosper. But if we don't understand the history of our country, then we're going to go down in flames. And that's what it's all about. Taking care of our families, taking care of our brothers and sisters, taking care of Americans first. And I believe that. And, if we don't take care of our families and our children and take care of our society, we're going to fail, Anwar. And people need to know that. Americans must come first, but we need to fix our educational system. We need to bring jobs. We need to deal with this immigration system problem that we have. Education and jobs is the most important thing in America right now for us. Jobs and education. Because if we don't have the great education, then we're going to fail.
And how can people reach you if they want to get involved with your campaign?
You can go to brooksus2012.blogspot.com. I'd like to thank Lou Jasikoff for that, and some other ones who worked on the website, who did a lot of writing for me, and also yourself and others. There's individuals, man, that played a major part. It's just not me. It's other ones from around the state.
All right, thank you, Daryl. All right, so Daryl, earlier we talked about different community activists. We also spoke about Facebook activists and things like that. So that really begs the question about youth leadership. There's different or new faces on the scene. Individuals like Shaheed Morris, Michael Walker.
Oh my God! Oh God! Terrible.
What do you have to say about the new leaders, new faces?
Them guys are young. They don't have the experience. Shaheed, Morris, he's criticized me. Says I'm not relevant, but I haven't seen anything he's really talked about doing, any economic programs, education, these things like that. You got Michael Walker, you got Duncan Harris, you got, like I said, Freedom, all these other ones, and I know Michael Walker has a radio show. But you got all these younger ones. What's the girl from the NAACP?
Kiana, I think is her name.
All of them coming. Why can't they all come together and put together some type of leadership conference? Like I said, why can't they all come to put together an educational conference or a nonviolence summit? We have people coming in and actually talking about violence and how you actually deal with it. Why can't they, do a conference on science and engineering and all these things that actually can help? But once again, either it's a party or basketball. They're very good at criticizing individuals. Like I said, a lot of them, they're young, immature.
Do you think the potential is there?
I don't know.
To develop as leaders?
They're not going to be a Daryl McKell Brooks. Only one Daryl McKell Brooks. But what I'm saying is that, they have to look at, when you try to give them advice, they know it all. And that's because of, immaturity. Hopefully they'll learn. But till then, they all are part of the same game as the older generation of community leaders and activists doing. Once again, it's all about having a party or playing basketball. or recreations, letting them play video games. You know, I mean, that's how they think of our children. It's terrible, and you know, a lot of these individuals are doing more harm than help. And you know, like I said, the Facebook activists, you know, they're not coming exactly in the heart of the community and actually talking to the people. That's serious stuff. That's serious activism. And they have to. They're not going to question their own individual friends, Democratic friends. You know, they'll question the governor. Well, the governor's not doing enough. Well, when are you guys in the Democratic Party, your buddies, are going to do more? You've been controlling this area for years. You know, you got Sam Frisbee. You know, I think he's a nice guy, but the idea is, you know, what exactly are you going to do? You're going to have a political conference, seminars, lectures, bringing people in the city and having these different things, bringing businesses. And that's what you got to ask them. What can you do to bring businesses? You know, what can we do to save our libraries in our city? The libraries are now, you know, we got Max, I can't think of the name of it now, but
the learning centers.
The learning centers, and you got the main library. You know, one of the things I talked about, I didn't want to talk about Mac in this, but you know, of course, but he did not listen.
Because you're talking about Tony Mac.
Tony Mac.
Okay.
He didn't listen, and the other ones around him did not listen. The idea was, I gave Tony Mac an idea. I said, let's go to the pharmaceutical companies. Let's go to these big companies and say, listen, would you be interested in sponsoring our library? You know, that would have saved the libraries. But individuals, if they even, you know, but I'm Daryl McKell Brooks, I don't know anything. You guys know it all. And they all are part of all these individuals, they're all a part of the same crew. They're first, second cousins. I always talk about this political family. So they're, you know, their families, the Watsons, the Palmers, the Macs, the rest of them, they have totally failed the city of Trenton. From Doug Palmer's, did not know there were gangs, $55 million deficit, you know, Tony Mac's robbery of the city, you know, I mean, just FBI, to the failure of a council that, I mean, these are supposed to be our political brainiacs. They're supposed to be the political savvy ones. And the whole, I don't support, I'm telling you the point is just that all of them are just failures. You know, it's serious. I mean, it's serious. When, you know, they can question out there themselves and talk about each other and talk, Freedom could talk about Tony, and then, you know, Tony and talk about the other ones, but they're all a part of the same family. They're all a part of, they grew up together, they partied together. You know, and the younger generation are always doing the same thing. They're having a good time, they're partying. You know, and it's serious in the city. Anything that, even when I talk about city, anything that was associated with the Palmers, with the Watsons in the city is not going to be good, because they've been controlling this city for the past 20 years, and it's been failure. So the next mayor, you know, I'm gonna be up front. The next mayor, leaders, all these individuals will be running for mayor. The next mayor should not be a black male. The next mayor should be a woman, whether it's a black or a white woman, or a non-black male. Because all the black males in the city who are going to be running for mayor, they all have egos. Tony Mac had the same type of ego. And you know, it should be a woman or a non-black male. Because it's an ego. All these guys are ego-driven. And they haven't really talked about anything that is that, you know, talk about what's really how to deal with this problem. You could have saved the library. We could have even tried to talk to pharmaceutical companies, the big-time companies. New Jersey got more pharmaceutical companies than anywhere in the country. You know, they don't mind. They can easily give you $200,000-300,000 a year as a tax write-off.
And you mentioned this to the mayor, and he didn't really act on it.
You know, oh, Daryl, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. You know, and that's how they think. All of them, they all think this way. they all think this way, and from the community activists, they know all they think, they know everything, they're on Facebooks, they're doing all this other stuff. The preachers are talking, yes, Jesus, but right in front of their churches, people getting shot and killed and beat up and everything else. And the politicians, you know, they know it all, but they're all part of the same family that can continue to fail the city of Trenton. So people got to make a decision here. You know, what do you want in this city? And you got to ask your leadership, what are y'all really doing with other than having a party or playing basketball? And so I feel bad for the young kids coming up in the city of Trenton. Thank you, and God bless.